Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John. This report is for December the 27th. I hope everyone had a great holiday. And yes, you're looking at it right here. Number 214 pops in. Another green dot set up from the overall market. You can see that we plunged quite a bit in the extreme histogram. Light holiday trade. But nonetheless, it still represents that there were interested parties at that particular point as price was decaying. Now we got an interesting move back up of the expanded ratio histogram, and that puts it back to the plus 13.5 line, and so that means that we're going to have to seriously take a look at the potential of another ratio psi, which would be a much broader short signal. The fact that we're still green trend and we get a secondary signal, though, we have to look at as positive, particularly when we're still looking at up and down power that is positive. Now, from our power mo, if I shrink these, you can see it still negative, and we kind of expected there would be some weakness within the overall setup until we get that cyan back above. But these readings down at the 8 level for the cyan in that last time, right about over here, was when we got those. So any other little move would be more or less a capitulation type setup that we would be looking to want to attack from a long side. I know that sounds crazy given the physical cliff, blah 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 blah, but you just got to go with what the signals are. Not to mention that we even got some from the MBI Opus. So we'll have to take a look at that very seriously. Now here we have support resistance lines, right in the middle of everything. It's pretty much the same confluence here. A lot of people are getting extraordinarily bearish on the setup, and usually when you get too many people going in one direction, the market wants to then go the opposite way. So we will be keeping an eye on the up-down power. Shorts obviously increased dramatically into this setup, and the reason being is you also had a lot of MACD sellers as that flips to the negative side. But look at that huge dip below. Love it when I see that kind of reading on my power momentum, my price oscillator, because that's usually where we start to look for strong pivot moves. So that's what we're going to be eyeballing going forward into the setup. Now, from our standpoint, we were conservative and sold SSO puts. Let's take a look at that. We sold the 60s for 75 cents, giving us a 59.25 entry, which would be a good spot for anyone who can't sell puts and was looking for getting into the setup, because the reality is you didn't just want to buy outright, particularly given that we were expecting a little bit of weakness with that power momentum. So all fine with that so far. Craziness from the USO setup here when we had the halibut. We went ahead and sold calls into that setup. If we take a look at it, we got 62 cents for them, and that's fine. We'll see how that plays out. It's gotten overbought now with the positive extreme, but it was interesting because it was right here, and we'd already sold them by the time we realized that we ended up with that halibut for the upside. That's okay. It happens. GLD got close to its target, retraced a bit off of that, not overbought. It's a tough call because not only is there nowhere else you can go other than the market for a trade, you can't go to bonds or anything like that. You really can't go to commodities yet because there's no real threat of inflation anywhere. Your only alternative on the commodities standpoint is, is there going to be a complete meltdown of something, and not quite seeing that yet. There's still time. CLF, we're fine with our setup with CLF. Do I have that one up here? No, but we can go ahead and click CLF, and that will take us to a little section on it. And for us, we had gotten down to 300 shares. We wanted to sell the 34 puts on it for about 32 cents there, and still moving nicely. So overall, nothing wrong with this trade. It is getting a bit overbought. I would still expect us to get those. We'll keep the shares that we already have because we didn't sell any calls on it, but probably not get put any additional ones on that one to close out the year for that. X, we also sold puts. I don't have an X1 up either. Well, let's go ahead and just click it and plop it up. So X, we wanted to sell 23 puts, got 18 cents for it, nothing too special. We only have a couple hundred shares left, but continue to reduce the low cost basis and probably close that one out. As the year comes to an end, it's gotten overbought again. Looking for that second little pop-up. We'll probably unload it when we get our first lower shakeout reading. going forward. So keep that one in mind. WLT, we were aggressive in jumping back into WLT. And we have that one right here. We wanted to sell both 35 and 3250 puts. So we got a pretty good premium for the 35s in that overall setup. And earlier I got 48 cents for the 3250. So overall, fine with that setup. We already got put part of the shares. So we'll build up a nice position there. Will it close out before the year's out? We'll see how close it comes. If not, we'll begin the year with that as an overall position. From the ES daily standpoint, now we wanted to go ahead and go long the ES. Let me see if I have ES. No, I don't. So go ahead and click that one too. 1419 is where we wanted to have a limit order at a minimum. So there were two ways you could have approached that. Is price opened up above it. As price came back down, you could have put in your 1419. If you had done that, you would not have gotten filled as we continued to move lower. If you went ahead and just bought at 1419, it's okay too. But now on a dip down to 1409, we want to buy 3 more. We're going to go full in. And you say to yourself, well, why would you want to do that under this horrible overall setup? Well, we can go ahead and take a look at the MBI Opus, and you can see we had the Iron Hawk. Now we get a Catfish. And someone says to me, okay, well, what does that mean to me? Well, we can always go back to our home page. We go to our strategies, click our performance reports, and we can just scroll down until we find Catfish setup. And there it is. So we can click the download, and this will tell us what we expect from a Catfish signal if we were just to go ahead and buy it with our overall expectations. So roughly just under an 80% win rate and 1.8 profit factor. So not bad, not spectacular, but we also want to get it at a discount. So, you know, from a discount standpoint, you take the high and the low of today, and that was at least 7 points there. So, you know, a third of that, you're looking for at least a couple of points discounted from the 19. We're looking for even more. So, why not take the extra reduction, particularly if we get down to that 1409? Then our overall entry is, you know, 10 points less. So, if we take 5 points off of our 19, puts us at about 1414. And that's an interesting one because, you know, even with the general negative readings and having just switched, you can see the new power momentum here starting out the day fairly close, still has yellow on top. So it wouldn't take much for that to turn around and go the other direction. And that would be your first signal of any positive momentum overall for up and down power. So that's currently the state of things. I know it's interesting to want to be taking an aggressive long setup with all the uncertainty, but speaking of uncertainty, let's look at the VIX. Why not? We've had some excellent bifractals off the VIX. These have all come in. In fact, our latest one was this halibut that showed up right here. Market spiked, but now extremely overbought on our VIX readings at a particular time where the shakeout is well over 17 over the warning line. So any retrace there is going to be a positive for the market as well, and we would expect that VIX to return back down to these lower points to retest these positive extremes. So from that standpoint, you know, there are the potential. So we'll just have to play it conservatively like we have all year long and finish out the year strong. And we'll just have to see how it closes out for us. But we got to follow the signals because that's what we've been doing, and we're going to continue to do that. It's the only prudent way to approach it. You can't let the fear or the news or, you know, saying, oh, there's light volume, this, that. You know, you just have to take the trades. The numbers are the same. They work out for all the trades. The computer doesn't distinguish between, you know, the day after Thanksgiving or the day after Christmas or any of the other days. It's just, are the signals there? Am I seeing the subset fractal buyers or not? And in this case, it still is. So we're going to go ahead and take advantage of that. As always, though, continue to look for me on StockTwits, Twitter, and trade well.